Hey guys, welcome back. Chris here with Marksman Shooting Sports in Westfield, Indiana. You are watching Marksman TV. Today I wanted to come back to you guys with an update on the supply side of things here in the gun industry. Anyway guys, if that sounds interesting to you, please stick around. That's coming up now. Okay, as you guys know, I like to drop in with an update about every 2 to 3 weeks with what is going on in the supply side of things right now. So let's go ahead and talk about firearms first. So what I have definitely noticed is the supply of firearms is definitely picking up and coming back. As you guys saw a few weeks ago, I did get in a big shipment of about 50 some odd firearms, 52 firearms, Glocks, SIGs, things like that. Now, that supply actually came out of an online e-show from one of the big online distributors. That was sort of a one-time sort of big inventory purchase that we made. And as you guys also know, I did sell through pretty much all of that stuff within about 1 to 2 weeks. After about the first week, I was down about half. And after the second week, I was down to maybe about 10. I think I have like 3 or 4 of those firearms left in stock. So that stuff has definitely gone pretty quickly. A lot of ARs, AK type firearms, Glocks, P365s, Hellcats. You know, it was mainly all the sort of high demand stuff that's going on. Now, along with that, I have also noticed over the past couple weeks that demand is definitely subsiding. So this year, we've actually beat last year in terms of sales every single month consistently. Now, we are only halfway through October, but this may be the first month this year that we might actually meet or even maybe even slightly fall behind sales from last year, which actually is, I mean, no business wants their sales to not perform as well as the previous year, but it's actually a good sign in terms of things calming down on the demand side of things. As a gun store owner, I actually prefer to be in a series of somewhat standard or normal demand, because then that means that supply starts coming back. I can actually get things that people want instead of having to answer the barrage of phone calls every day, basically telling people the bad news that I don't have or can't get what it is they're looking for. So I see at least positive news on the horizon as far as firearms goes. Now, I've mentioned before, in terms of purchasing firearms from my wholesalers, I haven't really been able to log onto their sites and actually browse inventory for the better part of the whole year. Starting around March, it's basically been, you know, I don't even bother with going and looking for inventory. I just wait for my supplier to call me and let me know what he has available. You know, it's not really any better in that regard in terms of, you know, I still can't really log on and order whatever I want. But I will say that the allocation of phone calls are getting longer. There's more stuff. I'm getting stuff more frequently. The calls, instead of being once a week, are about two times a week, maybe even sometimes 3 times a week. So again, you know, long story short, to reiterate the point, you know, supply on things is coming back. Now, in terms of the demand, like I just mentioned, typically how it was over the past several months is if we got anything that fired a projectile at a high velocity, it would sell. Anything from 22s to 410 lever guns to 12 gauge pump shotguns to defensive handguns, whether they were 365s, Smith & Wesson SD9VEs, the SAR Turkish handguns, Cobra Derringers. It didn't really matter what it was. It would definitely usually sell as quickly as we got it in. Now, the stuff that's never typically been in super high demand is actually sort of hanging around now and not flying off the shelf like it used to. But things that are typically have always been more desirable to people, like new releases like the Ruger 5.7, Glock 19s and Glock 17s, the SIG P365s and the Hellcats, those are definitely still moving out a little bit quicker. However, I have had a Hellcat OSP in here for like a week, and if we went back a month or 2 or 3 months ago, you know, people would bite my hand off before I could even get the thing out of the case. And a lot of those things never even really made it into the display cases before they sold. So good news there. It looks like supply on firearms is coming back. A lot of you guys are probably noticing that with online vendors as well. And even like weird, really hard to get stuff, like I'm even seeing Arsenal AKs and stuff are becoming available and they're easy to get. And I'm starting to get tons of emails from, like, I'm on the Classic, Atlantic email list, and I'm getting a lot more frequent emails from them with stuff coming into the market too. Okay, moving on to ammunition. I know that this is really the point that most people are interested in, and still ammo on my end is hard to get. It had been about a month and a half since I had gotten 9mm. I finally got in a small shipment. Now, myself, like most other people, were keeping really highly desirable calibers like the 9 to 380 and the 5.56. I haven't gotten any 380 though lately. keeping that stuff only available for people who are purchasing firearms in the store of that caliber. You know, we're selling a box or two to people so that, you know, new first-time buyers can at least get a box of ammo to go practice with or keep for home defense. You know, my shipments of 9 are still like 6, 7 boxes every time I get them, which again is not very frequently, so I can't really put that stuff on the shelf yet. I would love to get to that point to keep people supplied. As it goes with ammunition, again, there's still a lot of large volume purchasing going on for people who are looking to basically stockpile or sort of afraid, you know, the whole mentality of not knowing when they'll see it again, so they buy it all when they can. A little piece of advice from somebody who has been in the gun industry for a while. I've seen these shortages and high demand cycles, and I will tell you, unless you really need that ammunition for a class or for any other reason beyond, you know, having a few boxes for home defense, I would really recommend against purchasing large volumes of ammunition, thinking that this might be the last time you'll ever get it. You're going to pay very high prices for what you're getting now, and I promise you, within at least the next year or so, 6 months maybe, that stuff will come back and the pricing will come down. So again, that's just my recommendation. You as consumers do what you want to do, but I personally am not in a stockpiling phase myself because I know the ammo will come back and it'll be cheaper when it does. Now, we have gotten some updates from ammo manufacturers, and they predict that the supply will be hopefully back to normal by about the middle of 2021 or late 2021. Of course, that all you know, leads to be seen. We did see, and I talked about this several months ago after the Vista Outdoors conference call or their earnings release call, that they had hoped to ramp up production and get things back to the market. Remember, that's Federal, CCI, Spear. We have still yet to see a big supply of that stuff. Now keep in mind, they are doing their own distribution outlets now with their own web pages, so I'm sure that that's affecting things in that regard. But what I personally suspect, and this is just my intuition and my assessment of what's probably going on, is they are probably holding off on scaling up their production and their capacity, which again means potentially more square footage in their production floors, more machinery and more personnel. They're probably holding off on that until after seeing the results of the election. Keep in mind, back in 2016 when President Trump was elected, the floor really fell out from underneath the demand of the firearms market. It plummeted down about 33%, so a third. I have a feeling, and I would be thinking exactly this way if I was on the side of manufacturing of ammo and firearms, that they're probably waiting to see what is going to happen so that they don't scale up all this production. President Trump wins another term, and then the demand plummets right back down to where it was. And then they're going to have to lay off all that additional personnel, which will probably then collect unemployment on them. They'll have to scale back their capacity again, which they already had to do. So my guess is they're probably at their current capacity. They're having no problem selling things. They're able to elevate their pricing to offset the demand. So raising demand instead of, or raising, I'm sorry, pricing instead of supply, which is what I think the strategy is that they're pursuing. If Biden were to win the 2020 election, then I think that that's when they're going to kick it into gear and boost up capacity, which means then that yes, there's going to be elevated demand with the outcome of the election, even over what we're seeing now, which is going to be pretty tough. But at least the supply will hopefully catch up with what's going on there. If President Trump were to win again, I suspect that they would probably keep capacity where it is, suspecting that demand will come back to where it was in the past year within about 6 months to a year, which is what I've kind of always predicted all along. So again, I don't have any data or any types of information or press releases to back up that theory, but that's just what I suspect. So, you know, we've heard about all this ramping up of production, but we really haven't seen any of it in the market. And I think that that probably is the best sort of prediction of why that's happening. Now, accessories, that's optics, magazines, cleaning supplies, things like that. Again, I've also had a pretty tough time being able to secure that stuff. The suppliers are always out. I don't know if, again, they're cutting out normal distribution. The wholesalers going straight to outlets like Walmart, Cabela's, Amazon, so direct retail outlets, that might be the case because that stuff is pretty readily available there. One of the biggest accessory requests that I've had are holsters and safety, like gun storage safes. Those two things have been pretty tough to get a reasonable supply of. So I've usually, unfortunately, just been recommending people to a large online retail, which tends to be about the only place we can find that stuff right now. Now, again, a lot of this could be coming into running out of unemployment, as well as the different stimulus programs that have been going on right now. I think the economy, people are starting to feel a little bit of the repercussions of what's happened with the virus and all this stuff like that, being unemployed, losing those benefits. And also the standard demand cycles that happen in the firearm industry, which is, around September, October, things sort of quiet down a little bit anyway, and then they sort of boost back up November, December, January. So we'll see what happens there. It's going to be interesting. When we get past the election, I will try and make another one of these videos to see if I notice an immediate shift or change in the supply of things as a result of the outcome of the election. So I think that's going to be the biggest pivotal point right now to give us an idea of what's going to happen moving forward, either for better or for worse, depending on who wins the election. Anyway, guys, just wanted to come in with that brief update on what I am seeing on the supply side of things. Thank you for all the comments and requests for these types of videos. I'm glad that my input as a gun store owner is valuable to some people. So anyway, if you did enjoy this video, you found the information useful, please let me know by leaving a comment down in the comment section. Also, please hit that thumbs up button. It definitely helps me in the algorithm. And if you want to see more content like this, please subscribe to my channel, as I do make these updates about every couple weeks. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave you off there. I am Chris with Marksman Shooting Sports in Westfield, Indiana. You are watching Marksman TV. I will see you next time.